Good morning, y'all. Back online. We are back to the dohas of the Mahasiddhas of North India. Does anyone remember if we completely finished Maitreya and are beginning on Tilopa today, or if we didn't quite finish Maitreya? Give it a moment to see if we get a reaction. Meanwhile, I'll do the lineage prayer, because everything begins and ends with Bodhisattva and refuge. And those are both contained in Guru Yoga. Chuku kundu zongbo gombo he, dorji sempa garab dorji dang, shele singe bardu shin labdi, dedam abzam tatatusum chi, Zogchen jupe lamala solo deb. Ergin pema junila solo deb. Dorji chang chitilo narudang. Marpa mila gompo tatapa. Na pupadang palden drupa suk. Kargyu lama namla solo deb. Ochen lama namla solo deb. Drujen lama namla solo deb. Kaginwarin lama namla solo deb. Shakya lama namla solo deb. Nyandu dang yundren lama namla solo deb. Palkondu jongdang yerme pa. Gangarab dorjishin tragpa. Jetidang nisume pai. Palamanam chetente chong. Did anyone give an answer to the question? Not that I'm able to see. Not on Facebook and not on YouTube. Nobody remembers. I admit it's been a while. From where I left the place marker, I think we are beginning with Tilopa. If you later discover that wasn't the case, let me know and I'll go back over it. I pay homage to the Vajra Dakinis. Every time I say that, I'm reminded of that old translation calling Vajra Dakinis diamond fairies. It was a lovely time. We were all doing the best we could. But I really liked that one, so homage to the diamond fairies. Even though Mahamudra does not exist as something to be taught, it's neither a thing, nor is it expressible in words. Wise Naropa, you who has endured much suffering, who has undergone hardship, and has reverence for the teacher. Naropa, who actually, in spite of all his foibles, misunderstandings, and projections, managed to succeed at Guru Yoga. Fortunate one, do like this in your heart. Mind, heart, same. Get down out of your head. You live here. No sound?
No, that's somebody having a technical difficulty. It's fine on our end.
Okay. Just letting the technical stuff work itself out.
Okay.
Just as in space, in empty space, in the vastness of space of the universe, both the space outside of the planets and the space inside of the atoms, all space, there is nothing that depends on anything. In the Mahamudra, there is no thing, object to depend upon. Remember in the first line I said to you, it's not a thing. So there's nothing to grab hold of, nothing to depend on, nothing to grasp, nothing to keep, nothing to reject, and nothing to have an opinion about. Rest relaxed in the natural, uncontrived state. If you relax the bondage, the pogchas, the geks, the cricks in your tsa, the bondage that ties you up in knots about woulda, coulda, shoulda, that stuff. It's made of thought. Relax. There is no doubt that there will be liberation. Liberation, enlightenment, is a completely natural state. You don't have to attain it or get it from somewhere and bring it here. It's not an achievement. It is natural. And using effort, the effort of chasing what you want and running away from what you're afraid of, this effort, using effort, even the very effort of trying to get enlightened, you cramp yourself, you bind yourself and hold yourself back from it. If you can just relax that and let go and leave it be, don't pick it up again. It's all right there. As when one looks into the center of space and seeing ceases, for there is nothing to be seen, then the multitude of thoughts will cease, and unsurpassed enlightenment will be obtained. That multitude of thoughts that you rest your entire being on, every bit of your belief systems, every itty bit of everything on, it's not really there. If a thought was a real object, you would be able to grasp it, pass it along, eat it, drink it, slather it on your body, or even sit on it. But you can't. You can't do a damn thing with it except think it. And that itself is a sensation occurring in the yi. No thing happens. Just as mists and clouds vanish in the element of space without going anywhere and without staying anywhere, when a cloud vanishes into the clear sky, it does not go to another place. When a cloud vanishes into the clear sky, it does not remain in the place it was. Nothing happens. Now you see it, now you don't. Thoughts arising and vanishing. Now you see them, now you don't. You see another one, and another, and another, and another, and another, and another, and another. And this is what you base your entire friggin' life on? Let go. Utterly useless. In the same way, there are thoughts that arise in mind, but on seeing the mind, they vanish like waves. Look, when you sit by the ocean and you watch the waves roll into the shore, it appears to you that there is something, a wave, which is moving from way out there at sea in here to the shore and up onto the sands. Doesn't it? You can see it starting way out there and coming this way. Except in the physics of the way water works and waveforms work, that's not what happens. Way out there, a molecule of water moves an nth of a centimeter, bumping into another molecule of water. That thing is not here. I guess it got packed. I had a lovely device for showing how that works. Perhaps next time. The little ball thing,
I think it got packed.
it got packed. All my teaching tools got packed. You guys are just going to have to be patient till I complete this move. Stuff.
Too much stuff.
You'll come to the potluck now, December 15th, and take away stuff. Molecule hits molecule, transmitting energy, momentum, the energy of momentum. No thing from way out there moves all the way in here to the shore. It just bumps the next one, 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 bumps the next one. Like that. So, there is no such thing as a wave. And yet, there is the appearance of waves. However, the waves were never anything other than water. You cannot take the wave out of the water. And so the thoughts were nothing ever other than mind. Ungraspable, unfathomable, unknowable, unisolatable. For each one creating the one after it in a chain, a thought chain called Nam Talk, with those little hooky talks sticking them together. Just a way of looking at it. But all the way through, just as the nature of space is beyond color and shape, unchanging and unstained by white or black. Outer space is not black. It's not white. It is empty. You think it's black because you are not registering with your limited eyeballs the multiple colors that may be seen in that which has no color. Your eyeballs are really limited compared to, say, a sparrow. Imagine those colors in a little brown sparrow if you could see it through a sparrow's eyes, which has many more color perceiving elements in their retina than a Homo sapien does. Outer space is not black. It is not absent of light, for all the stars shed their light upon it. This is an analogy. The nature of space is beyond color and shape, unchanging, unstained by white or black. In the same way, the essence of mind is beyond color and shape, and it isn't stained by the black and white phenomena of good and bad actions. In infinite open space, where you gonna put the karma? There's nothing to hang it on. Only in the ignorance of phenomena can it accrue and manifest. When the ignorance of phenomena come together with the infinite openness of mind itself, karma cannot be said to remain or not remain, because out here, ises and isn'ts aren't. Way back in the beginning, Song of Saraha, where ises and isn'ts aren't. Just as the essence of the clear, bright sun cannot be obscured by the darkness of 1,000 eons. In this same way, the bright and luminous essence of the mind cannot be obscured or damaged by eons of samsara. If you were a spelunker and you chose to go into a deep cave in which no one had entered before, the moment you entered with your flashlight, that cave would light up. One single moment of flashlight unravels the eons of darkness. And however long from the beginning of the earth, that cave may have been in darkness from whatever age of the earth's forming, the moment you flick a switch, it is illuminated. Mahamudra, the great gesture. Just as although one names space as empty, space cannot be described saying it exists like this. In the same way, though one describes the mind as luminous or luminosity, there is no basis for any words that say it exists like this. Descriptions are made up. They're made of thoughts. Even these very words that I'm reading you from the great Tilopa are no more real than any other words. All thoughts, good uns, bad uns, stuck ones, can't put it down ones, mind worms. Thoughts of love and happiness, thoughts of hatred and killing. They're made of exactly the same not stuff. No difference. Look at them one by one and see what they're made of. Not what they say. Who cares what they say? They say all sorts of shit. You want to know how bad they are? Go in a room by yourself and say everything you think out loud for 20 minutes. Dare ya? Seriously. Try it and see how dumb most of them are. And it's reruns after the first 5 minutes. You think you're creative, you're going to run out in 5 minutes of new things to think. Why the hell are you paying attention to that crap? It's like listening to commercials half the time. Buy me, buy me, buy me. I wanna. I'm going to go buy me Oh dear, it's after me. Run away, run away, run away. That's all most of them are. And it's not really after you. And if you buy it, you're not going to be any happier than if you don't buy it. So what the fuck are you doing? Look where we're pointing. Don't look at the finger. Look where it points. The nature of mind is primordially like space. All phenomena without exception are included within it. Your perceptions, how you see a thing. What on earth do I have in my hand? Dope pipe? What is it? How do you see the thing in my hand? Your perception of that thing is going to include all your thoughts about what sort of thing Lama Lena might have in her hand, which could be most anything in the whole wide world. It's going to include what you know about that color. What, if you've been here, you might have seen on my table, easy to grab. All of these add in, all these thoughts, and your feelings about me and your feelings about things, and everything else is going to all add into what you perceive in my hand. Just a little beaded lizard. So as all your perceptions, which are simply made of the physical sensation of your eyeballs, your ears, your tactile, your six senses, your thoughts about them and your feelings on that, about what you thought it was, whether you like it or not like it. And then there's more thoughts about what you're going to do about that. That whole clump, that's a perception. And when you get enough of them in a row lined up through time, it's called an experience. And it changes you. Maybe traumatically, maybe just a tiny little bit that you hardly even notice. But all your experiences change you. They're all in your mind. That's what makes your mind yours. You having different experiences from him or her or it. So as you go through life, having clumps of thoughts, feelings, and sensations as perceptions, and linear files of perceptions as experiences, you change to reflect your experiences. Maybe in a way you like, maybe in a way you don't like. This is all in your mind. Your experiences are made of your perceptions. Your perceptions are occurring in your mind as they are thoughts, feelings, and sensations of the 6 sense organs, which are caused by the unrolling of your karma, so that you have the sensations. Karma is part of mind. Do you see? None of it's out there. Running away from out there is not going to get you away from a damn thing. If something scares you and you run away, guess what it's going to do? Since it's in your mind, it's going to be there wherever you go. You afraid of black dogs? Everywhere you go, you're going to find black dogs. You afraid of bored cops? Everywhere you go, they're going to find you. Because they're not outside of you. Birth and death, growth and deterioration are not something you can do something about by poking around out there. It's inside. Your mind, which itself is neither inside nor outside. If you want this to make sense, don't just sit here and listen to me rattling on words and reading somebody else's words. Look at your mind, yourself, right now. You know all the tricks to make it easy, such as align your channels, sit up straight. Get your back straight. Relax your muscles. Focus. Lay your mouth naturally with your lips slightly open. Little air can go through the mouth. Most goes through the nose. And your eyes focus on a spot 3 meters in front of you. And let go of the spot. And allow the point focus of your eyeballs to disperse. This is a natural and relaxed state. It's not something forced. It shouldn't be something tiring. Just relax. Let go. Do not attempt to suppress thinking, nor follow thinking into stories. Let your thoughts be as they are, no thing in nowhere there. Just leave it be. Relax. This itself is mind looking. Since there is nowhere that is not mind, and no thing that is not mind, it's all mind looking. Let it be utterly natural, completely ordinary. Since the nature of mind is primordially like space, all phenomena without exception are included within it. Discard all physical activity of the pursuit of this and that, and the flight from the other, Stop chasing your tail. Relax. Relax. Rest at leisure in naturalness. It is utterly sufficient just as it is. This is what's meant by it is perfect. That does not mean it is all nice, or it is all smooth, or it is all happy. It means that just as it is perfect for what it is. I hate that word. Is sufficient in and of itself for what it is and needs no repair or poking at. Without the voice speaking, empty sounds are like an echo. Think of nothing in the mind and look at the Dharma of transcendence. Do not refrain from thoughts with effort. Do not follow thoughts into a story with effort. Simply relax and let thoughts be in their natural state of no thing and not nowhere. And all the arisings arise and subside. And all the ises aren't, just like the isn'ts aren't either. And nothing can be said to be real or unreal. For there is nothing whatsoever that really can be said about it. Relax. Do leave it be as it is. Do not fix it. Do not improve it. Sufficient in and of itself. I find that the word perfect has too many connotations to use here, and yet there is not another word that says the same thing. You'll simply have to leave be those connotations of what you think perfect ought to be. The body has no essence. Like the stem of a reed, the mind is like the center of space. It transcends being an object of thought. Mind is the thinker. It is that in which the thoughts arise and vanish. It is bigger than the thoughts. You cannot wrap the thoughts around the mind. Do you see? Mind itself is unthinkable. Rest relaxed in that state without placing or sending away. No grabbing, no shoving. If there is no focusing upon mind, That is the Mahamudra. Just as your eyes picked a point in empty space and then let go of that point, so the mind finds mind itself, gazes upon it, and lets go of that. Transcend mind itself. This is Mahamudra. When one is habituated to and blended with that, unsurpassing enlightenment is. Unsurpassable enlightenment is. You see, go back to how you occur, how you got to be who you are. It was a little bitty baby with tendencies, neural patterns, and then it had lots and lots of experiences which formed the child's character. And the child was either rebellious and adventurous or shy and timid, formed by these experiences on top of the genetic predisposition. But the genetic predisposition is not a given. I was born with a hair-triggered nervous system, shy and timid. I decided against that quite young and simply placed myself in situations that would cause experiences to get me the fuck over that. You've heard some of my life stories. Shy and timid. Oh, it's still in there in the nervous system, in the autism and the way that the way the neurosystem works and the way I startle. But if you panic in emergencies, the easiest way to get over it is to train as a first responder. You'll either fail or succeed. Many years as a paramedic got me over that one. You see, whatever your genetic predisposition is, your experiences are stronger. You might have a genetic predisposition to be the most loving person, but you grow up in a war zone being abused. You're going to change. You're going to get all sorts of personality overlays and change. You were changed by your first lover and your second lover, by your first pet, by your dog, by your parents, your teachers, by the movie you saw on Thursday. It all changes you to become who you are. So when you habituate to a certain way of being by practicing it, it changes you so that you blend with that way of being. And if that way of being is itself the edges of true enlightenment, you're going to fall in one of these days. See? Because it cannot be done by effort. All you can do is expose yourself again and again to the experiences that will lead to the edge of that so that you accidentally fall in. Because if you chase after it, grabbing and shoving don't work on this. So to expose yourself to these experiences that lead to changing you into not changing you, to maturing you into that which reflects the enlightened state, that doing is called practice. And just like me practicing as a first responder, emergency response person, to get past my habit of panicking in emergencies. And after a year or so, it had been quite effective, and I no longer panicked in emergencies because they were just too damn many, and I ran out of panic. So, by that same method, I'm bringing it down to an everyday thing that you do every day. You choose your experiences according to what they're going to make of you. Or you should be. I mean, I would assume that one does. I don't know if everybody does that. Maybe it's an autistic thing. But once you realize that you're made of your experiences, then you know how to steer who you are. And if something about you bothers yourself, well, just steer in another direction. Curious, at some point, let me know if everybody does that or if that's just me and a few of us crazy Aspie kids. Now, that was the pointing out. All of you keep saying, when are you going to do the pointing out? When are you going to do the pointing out? It's like I did it 2 minutes ago. Come on, guys. That was the pointing out. So if you've been wondering if you've had the pointing out, yes, you just did in Mahamudra form. Okay. Let's see where we are. I think this is a place to stop for questions for a few minutes, because that was pretty pithy. Nyando, would you look and see if there's any questions out there?
One so far, but I'm sure more will come. The question is, what should a practitioner do when old age comes and then there is not so much energy to practice the Dharma?
Okay. First of all, yes, old age comes and there is less energy to do things. One would hope by that time practicing the Dharma is not a doing. As in, it doesn't take energy to practice Dharma. It's everywhere. Now, if you're doing Tantra and Sadhana, that may take some energy. All the old Tibetans do more practice than anybody else because they're not busy trying to raise a family and earn money anymore. So even though you may have less energy when you're old, you do have more time. So it does average out if you're doing Tantra. If you're doing Mahamudra or Maha'ati, there's nothing in there that takes energy. Relax. Both require simple relaxation as the first point. It doesn't take energy to relax. It takes energy to not relax. Any more coming up?
Yes. Question is, what to do if there is a subtle witness or watching of the spaciousness?
Relax. Don't worry about it. It'll pass. That subtle sensation of witness, it's a feeling. It's a sensation. It's a very subtle form of thought. So don't poke at it. Don't worry about it. Just leave it be and it'll vanish in its own accord. Next question.
If I try to take my difficulties into account, but I tend to run away when it comes to my fears. What can I do?
Intentionally figure out something simple that you're afraid of, like spiders, and go get a job or volunteer where they raise spiders. Like tarantulas and things, but for pets. Or get one as a pet and become friends with it. Expose yourself to spiders. Come to know which spiders are poisonous and which aren't. Learn to pet spiders or be petted by spiders. Tarantulas are so cute. You can't really pet them, but you can let them walk all over you. Nyando had a pink-toed one, a little black spider with bright pink tippy toes. It looked like it was wearing high heels. So cute. You walk about on your arm with its bright pink toes. So find a nice solid one of your fears, not the airy-fairy ones, like I'm afraid of failure. Those are kind of hard. Although if you're afraid of failure, pick a sport you know nothing about, or you're really bad at, and challenge someone to a game. You will fail. Do it again and again until you're used to it. That should work on failure. Like, learn how the chess pieces move. You won't be good at chess. And then go in public, challenge the chess players that sit in the park. Again and again. And fuck up and fail. After a while, you will have failed so many times, it's kind of, the botherment of it wears off. So you can do that with fears. Now, if you fear fast driving, you can take a course in defensive driving, but I don't recommend you simply drive fast. You probably don't have the skill to survive that. If you're going to go poke at your fears, try to poke at the survivable ones, yeah? It's an advanced practice to poke at the unsurvivable ones. You're not ready yet. Next. That was Nine-Fingered Toptail used to do that, but then some of these chudpas are crazy.
The next question is, with the analogy of space, one gets the feeling that Mahamudra is a great stillness. How do we hold this in the dynamism of life?
So Mahamudra has a process. It's one of the nice things about Mahamudra. This I'm showing you, remember, I just did a completion stage Zogchen, and some of it was broadcast down in the Caribbean. So this, what I'm talking here, what I'm reading you is completion stage Mahamudra, real Mahamudra. However, there is a nice, gentle way in with Mahamudra. That stillness. Find it. Find it so often that it is easy for you to find. Relax in it once having found it well enough that you can just relax there for a while. Step one. Now, there are methods to get to step one if that's more advanced, but then you got to listen to the whole Mahamudra tape. It's up on the website. It starts you from the very beginning where I give you a pebble. Starts with a pebble. But we're talking about, from your question, that you've kind of found the stillness. So, okay, we're starting there. Once the stillness is a very familiar thing that you can relax with for a time easily, I want you to start looking. And you can do this while walking around, while stopping at the pub, or while sitting on the cushion. You should do both. I want you to separate the moving from the stillness, as in, become absolutely clear unto yourself what moves and what does not. My hand moves. The space through which it moves does not. My thoughts move. Mind in which they move does not. So you want to look at all aspects of phenomena and figure out whether they are moving or still. That's your next step. And when you've done that, I'll tell you the step after that. Next question.
Could you explain the difference between the causal citric and resultant tantric paths that converge at the 8th stage of non-conceptuality?
The fuck you say?
I'm just calling it as I see it.
Yes, right. Well, please, person who swallowed a dictionary, put it back on the shelf and say that to me in small baby words. I'm not a scholar. I don't know quite what you mean by causal citric acid, lemons?
Citric.
Causal centric?
Citric, like related to citrus, like
To citrus fruit?
sutra.
Oh, sutra.
Causal citric is what they have here.
You go on and give me that question again in normal words. You may be a scholar, but I'm not. I'm an old cave yogi talking to you about experience. And that's what I can do. Next.
If practices like Tumo are considered completion stage, would that then mean the stages of Mahamudra are all completion stage?
No. First of all, Tumo is not completion stage. In Tumo, you do things. There is activity. It is Krim, path of accumulation. Path of fruition, there is nothing to be done. It has fruited. Now, admittedly, just as in dancing stillness, Trultra Naljor, and the yoga of dancing stillness, where these two come together, so in the same way, Krim, path of accumulation, and Zogchen, path of completion, path and fruition, are not separate. Never were. Next question.
In Zogchen, isn't separating movement from stillness a Rushen?
Korde Rushen, yes, it is. In Mahamudra, however, it is part of and comes directly after Shine without an object, and is the process by which, or part of the process by which, Shine matures into Lactong. In Zogchen, it is given later as a Rushen. In Zogchen, we generally let you drive yourself crazy for a few years, trying to stabilize the moving first. Because you keep trying to stabilize your perception of mind and emptiness and think that's mind looking mind and try to make it stay there all the time. And of course it won't. And when you finally totally are ready to give up and so frustrated you're going to pop with that in Zogchen, then we give you the Rushen and show you. Works different. Both, however, involve taking you to an edge and drop kicking you off. Just The edge is in different places, and different methods are used to get you there. Next question.
Why is this recognition soft when it is part of a practice and very intense when it comes unexpectedly?
Soft?
I guess intense and not intense?
I guess that's what they mean. That's simply how your ye senses it. That's not from its side. That's your side. Intense, not intense. It may be that what you're getting in the practice also is not the real thing. It's like a sort of a reflection in a mud puddle of the moon. Whereas the moon itself, when you come upon it unexpectedly at harvest season, is extremely intense. That could be. I don't know, because this is your experience. Put yourself in situations where you'll come upon it unexpectedly. See what happens. Next question.
How does a practice such as Tara or Chenrezig act on the subtle channels? What is the effect of these practices in the concrete field?
Okay, so first of all, Chenrezig. There's a variety of different Chenrezig practices, and they do different things to the channels. The one I teach opens and smooths the channels of the heart chakra. But there's another one, say, called Nunye, that acts as a toilet plunger on the central channel, causing the chi to go down, and then up really fast. Just like you get clogs out of a toilet with the plunger that way. Well, it does it to your central channel if you do Nunye properly. But you have to eat the right things. You can't just eat any old food. You have to eat things that do certain things to your channels. Very specific dietary given for that. As in, mac and cheese is required. Fried, preferably, with a little sugar in it. And cheesecake. Yes, cheesecake is excellent in there. But salads are not given. Doesn't work. Stir fries usually don't work too well either. You can have some vegetables with your mac and cheese if you need to. But basically, in a Nunye, the practices send the chi all the way up into the top of your head. Shoom, and you're shooting out the top. And then you eat this meal. Well, first you drink this porridge that settles your tummy early in the morning. And then comes lunch, which is the next time you eat. And you eat this heavy, stodgy, cheesy, greasy. Poutine would work if you didn't want mac and cheese. A really good Canadian poutine. Oh yeah, that'd do it. And it drops your lung without any of the elements that actually constrict a channel, such as garlic or onions. Alums will constrict. Potatoes will draw downwards, root vegetables. So it's the diet specifically to make this work, including the thing that soothes your stomach so you can do this first thing in the morning, which is a special soup made a certain way. So I've seen Westerners do it and it not working for them because they decide they're just going to eat vegetarian Chinese stir fry for lunch, and that doesn't do it and probably has ginger and garlic in it anyway, which is a constrictor. So do learn this from someone who knows all the pieces and who has done it with Tibetans. because some of these bits that for a Tibetan goes without saying don't get said. So those are Chenrezig practices. Now, there are 21 or more aspects of Tara: red Taras, green Taras, golden Taras, and they all function ever so subtly differently. So I can't really give you an answer direct to any specific archetype unless I know exactly which practice with that archetype you're referring to. They all have subtly different effects on the channels. Next question.
One moment here. There was an earlier question regarding fears, and the specific fear they were working with was related to the fear of getting lost when driving and how to work with that.
Oh, just go drive around in neighborhoods you don't know with your phone turned off for a while. You'll get lost. And then stop for a cup of tea, enjoy it, and then you can use Google Maps to find your way back home. Do that a few times and then go out without your phone. Keep making it more and more and more until it pops. My experience has been these fears do pop. It doesn't stop scaring you, but you stop giving a shit that you're scared about that. That's just my experience. I have no guarantee this works on other people. It's not in a lineage. It's not lineage instructions. Just talking about my experience and how I deal with my own fears. Next question.
Why all of the fat? Does raw goat milk kefir work well also for what you were talking about with the different foods related to practices?
No. Not for that. It's a lovely food. You could add some into your mac and cheese, but you still need your mac and cheese or your poutine. And the fat and the starch combined is what does it. Greasy starch, especially greasy root starch. But greasy wheat will work too. Next question.
Is saying the understanding the mind and thoughts are more or less the same, is this similar to when Buddhist teachings say samsara and nirvana are the same?
It may well be pointing at the same thing. Obviously, when you look at samsara and the bliss of nirvana, you will see differences. You will not see the sameness until you have completed the practice of Trotra Naljur. So from out here, they sure look different. One hurts, the other one doesn't. Next question.
Have we only really entered real completion stage Mahamudra once one taste is occurring?
Correct. Actually, no, it's at the other end of one taste, in Gomme, that you enter true completion stage Mahamudra. Past one taste. One taste is a stage on the path. It's a fancy stage. A lot of people get there and they're quite satisfied and don't go any further because it's terrible fun. Lots of giggles. But no, you have to have fully entered Gomme. Next question.
One moment. Could you explain siddhi in relation to two truths?
Nope. No, I don't think I could. You're getting at something there. Try that question again with a different wording. Because I'm not sure I understand what you're getting at. Next question.
Okay.
And it's not just your after vocabulary. You can look that up in a dictionary.
Let's just take a look. Okay. At some point of the practice, it seems that even if phenomena is there, it does not exist, that existence does not exist. Can we live our normal life in this way, seeing everything not existing?
No, because that's a thought. Everything doesn't exist. Just as it's a thought, everything does exist. However, what you are pointing at behind those thoughts, of course you can. In fact, I can't imagine how else one could live one's normal life without it being extremely uncomfortable. I mean, fuck, shit happens. If you thought all the phenomena was real, God, would that be uncomfortable? But of course, clinging to the idea all the phenomena is unreal won't do you a damn bit of good when it hurts. Y'all just keep practicing. It works. Next question.
I am practicing just sitting, radical Zogchen. Is it okay if I practice another practice like Chud and Tara while being in Trekshan, or should I separate them?
You do not need to separate radical Zogchen from anything. Nor does Trekcha have an in and an out. So if you're being in Trekcha and you think you could possibly get out of Trekcha, oops, back to the old drawing board. But yes, in radical Dzogchen, nothing is forbidden. However, until such time as there is neither an in nor an out, keep your view as broad as space, and your karma as fine as a spider web, lest you do yourself a serious mischief, and others around you. Just because in Dzogchen all is permitted, if you poke at that too soon, oops. Read up on how Rahula got to be Rahula. The two brothers, or a brother and a cousin, one of the stories. Rahula was one. Rahula was, I believe, the son of the Buddha with his wife. In another story, he's the guy with eyes everywhere, including in the end of his pecker. He's a protector, among other things. Like, he got tamed in the end, but he was also a great demon for a while. He and his friend had a teacher of Dzogchen who taught them Dzogchen, radical Dzogchen, and they both understood it differently. One of them went off into the forest and simply practiced seeing things as they were. And the other one went around and did all the things, since all was permissible. Killed and ate meat and did everything. And they came back together again, and after 20 years, to ask their teacher who'd been right. And the teacher said the one who went off to the forest and simply practiced had been right. And the other one got so angry he killed his cousin and his teacher, Rahula. And so he became the demon Rahula, who through time and later on, Guru Rinpoche tamed, I believe it was Guru Rinpoche, but somebody else can check out these stories and give me a better version. I've only heard them once or twice. And he became a wonderful protector of the Dharma, one of the creepiest, weirdest ones, because he misunderstood what is meant in radical Zogchen by all is permitted. It's the same as how one misunderstands the wording, it's all perfect. And seeing what's happening in Israel, Palestine, Ukraine, North Africa, Syria, that is not what I would call perfect. That hurts the people involved. Much suffering. So I showed you earlier, or I tried to, what was meant by perfect. It is complete in and of itself. Not what you mean by perfect, all good, Samantha Bhadra. All good shoves away the bad. So there is a grasping of good and a rejecting of evil. That is not radical Dzogchen. Nonetheless, if you attempt not to reject bad and walk carefully in the good, too soon you'll be the next Rahula. Now, admittedly, it does sound pretty cool to have an eye in the end of your penis. But would it really be that cool? I mean, it's dark in there anyway. You wouldn't be able to see anything. Seriously. All is permissible. That doesn't mean challenge it by trying to do it. That means permit it to occur in a natural way without trying to fix it. Listen to this difference and don't trip over it. Because it's a big deal. Next question.
Another question about addressing fears. But in this case, the question is, we have a 9-year-old who panics like crazy when going to be late or can't find something or needs to get up in the morning. Any tips?
Have you discussed this with them in a non-accusatory way? I could give tips to the 9-year-old if they asked me. But all I can say to you as a parent, well, talk to them about it. What is it about these things that's scary, that's causing panic, and what would you like to do? I mean, by 9, I was already doing this shit of conditioning myself by the time I was 9. Not very well, mind you, but I was working on it. So there's nothing you can do about this as a parent except hold conversations with them and find out what, if anything, they want to do about it. 9 is plenty old enough to have that much agency. Perhaps something bad once happened under those circumstances, or perhaps they simply thought it might. For a lot of the things that I was scared of when I was little and timid, it didn't have a lot to do with anything that really happened. Sometimes, boy, did I misinterpret stuff going down. Oh, man, did I misinterpret it. Kept thinking people were trying to kill me when they were trying to do nice things for me and help me, especially doctors. Easy to misinterpret, especially my mama, who kept handing me over to doctors who did terrible things to me, medically necessary. That was a preemie. But still, you misinterpret as a baby. God knows what they think happened. And yes, I know Tibetans use a baby as an analogy for somebody who's free of thoughts, but in my experience, nope. Birth process sort of wakes you up and you start thinking before you breathe. Don't know if that happens to everybody. Next question.
How can I move beyond being stuck in a state of Mahamudra where I experience emptiness but also apathy, watching my negative habits without feeling motivated to change?
You got two things going on here, I suspect. You've got your practice and you've got a depression. Have you seen a doctor for this? That state of apathy is usually chemical. Are you eating a nutritious diet? There's been a great link between the gut and your brain, the diet you eat, your probiotic biome, and your mood. So either you're not eating right, which has thrown your entire probiotic biome off, causing it to be sludgy and depressed, or you're actually chemically depressed and really ought to check it out with the doc. I don't think this is a practice side effect. I think you got two things going on and you should separate them. One is physical and one is your practice. There is a practice for depression. I've taught it a few times. Yisu Yirang. Rejoicing. You simply leave the house every day. Go for a walk until you have encountered at least 3 beings. First one, and then another, and then another, and more if you do, that are very, very happy in this moment. I figure dogs being walked by their person are usually ecstatic about it. So that'll do. Birds that come out after the rain and sing are usually ecstatic that the rain has stopped and now they're in the sun drying off. Those will work. A couple of young lovers walking down the street hand in hand, that'll do it. 3, on a walk. And each one, when you see them, you say to yourself, how wonderful that this living being is experiencing such happiness in this moment. May all beings in the whole wide universe experience such happiness as this. Period. You don't say another thing. Just that, and then you go find another. If you cannot bring yourself to do this, then you need meds. Then you take the meds, and then you will be able to bring yourself to do this. It goes with the meds, not instead of the meds. Because you simply won't do it. You won't leave the house and do this. You'll think you should, and you'll feel terrible about not doing it, but you won't if you actually need meds. And there's nothing shameful about meds. It's a very high Lama, very famous, who's going to remain nameless here, whose job for another very high lama, who's also going to remain nameless here, is to go where he is invited first and find out everything wrong with the place and come back and report on it so that it can be either dealt with or decided it's no big deal. He takes antidepressants except when he's on a job. Then he stops, gets really depressed and sees everything wrong, comes back, reports, and then goes back on his meds. Seems to work for him. And I'm not telling you who these are. Speaking Tibetan and looking like me, I get to be a fly on the wall in the weirdest situations while people discuss things in Tibetan. I even got to be a fly on the wall and watch His Holiness while he was at home and thought nobody was around because I was being invisible. That was fun. Amazing aura. Anyway, next question.
To go back to the 9-year-old for a moment,
Mm-hmm.
I guess they had the conversation about what was causing the fear, and the fear is centered around not wanting to be late because other children will look at her and laugh at her and reject her for being late. Like, that's the actual fear at work.
So that's late for things with other children. Specifically, not late for, going to dinner with your parents or going to a doctor's appointment. That would be my question to you. This is a fear of being laughed at by the other kids, and I suspect it's very real. Bullies are a problem. Martial arts. I so highly recommend martial arts for children. It gives them a framework to grow in. It is not violent. It is the least violent. It's a lot more violent just learning fisticuffs on the playground, trust me. And unless you learn verbal fisticuffs as a girl, you learn boy fisticuffs, which is quite physical. And yes, that's still going on now, even if you think it isn't. So I would say a lack of confidence in interaction with other children. Either being really good at a sport or learning martial arts as a sport at a dojo, which is not with other kids from school, and getting good at it. This has all to do with that whole popularity thing and bully thing. And they may be being bullied at school on a very subtle way by the girls. Boy bullies, you know when it's happening. Girl bullies, you're never quite sure. Because it's all in the askance looks and I could never figure out the girl bullies. I used to just fight with the boy ones and ignore the girl ones because I couldn't figure out which ones were bullying me and which ones were just being friendly and who was what. More conversations about it. Just keep talking to your kid. Not one long, in-depth conversation, but just keep talking about it. Well, what can we do to help you be ready more? You know, all of this stuff. And a sport that they can excel at. Rock climbing.
Yeah. Because the question does say, give specifics like a kid's party or going to general gymnastics with, I guess, other kids that they know.
Right. So I'm going to recommend that they excel at something that's just theirs as a sport, something physical that doesn't involve a lot of kids their age, or like a dojo has such clear boundaries of how you behave to each other that there wouldn't be a problem. Meanwhile, you can also get ready the night before when any such occurrence is planned. Organizational. When you can't be late. I often will get my clothes out the night before because I'm a bit disorganized, and especially now with everything in boxes and I can't find it. If I'm going to be teaching online the next morning, at least the top half, nobody sees the bottom half. I could be wearing little yellow duckies on pajama bottoms and you'd never know. Next question.
Okay. How does the Dharma work for a practitioner at the time of death?
Well, that depends on what you are trained to do. Dharma's big. If you know how to die and you have practiced the death process, then there's no mystery there. You know what's going on, you know what to do about it, and you just do it. It's like Monday morning again. Oh yeah, I know how to do this. I know how to go to work. If you practice Amitabha, that does a specific thing in the bardo, taking you to a certain pure land. If you're doing Yidam practice at a different point in the bardo, that catches you up and you end up in your Yidam's pure land. It really depends on which practice exactly how that works. I'm going to be doing an in-person retreat somewhere. Keep an eye on the calendar to see if it's near enough for you to get to, on how to die. I have done a tape on it, but this is going to be in a lot more in-depth. And it's a weekend retreat. So one full weekend where we will get together and die again and again and again until we are very, very good at it. And when it happens, I know how to do this. Easy peasy. Instead of, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, I'm dying, oh my God, oh my God. So we'll do that. It's going to end up on the schedule. I don't know where. I don't know on which continent. Depends on who bids for it, who has a place for a weekend big enough for a good 30, 40 people, I think is what's probably going to come to that. And we'll see. If you're in Europe, contact Misha. If you're in the US or Canada, contact Jan. And I'm not sure. South America, I think, contacts Jan. Let's see if I'm going to go on or just do more questions. Nyanda, what's standing there in questions?
Just a couple left.
Let's do those couple.
Okay. So the first question is, in lucid dreams and in love encounters, I have had experiences of an incredible opening of the mind, but when I practice, I do not reach that opening. Why?
Say it again.
In lucid dreams and in love encounters, I have had experiences of an incredible opening of the mind, but when I practice, I do not reach that opening. Why?
I wonder what that opening is. It might be an opening of the heart, since you're getting it in love encounters. Practice Chenrezig. See if you can get it in that practice, which is also a practice involved specifically opening of the heart. What else did he say he had it in? Love
In
encounters.
lucid dreaming and love encounters.
Lucid dreaming. Well, everything can be more so there. What was the dream? Just briefly. That would give me a clue as to why you're not getting it in practice. And what you're experiencing is not so much mind opening, although maybe a little. It's more of a heart opening bliss state, not necessarily the shunyata component that goes with it. So I would recommend you continue to work on both bodhicitta and sunyata in your practice by practicing Chenrezig and direct meditation. And when the two come together, that will be mind opening. Next question.
Since I got COVID, my health has worsened and I feel worse and worse. I am 34 years old, but I feel that my body is 84. My vitality is gone and I'm getting worse. I don't know what practice I can do. I am worried.
Medicine Buddha and change doctors. This is a medical issue, not a practice issue. You appear to have got long COVID. As far as I know, the cure is rest sometimes. I mean, sometimes rest works. And over time, long COVID withdraws. But you need proper nutrition while you're resting and a good doctor to see you through this. So if you do the Medicine Buddha practice, and then if your doctor is of no benefit here, then please go see another one. Who's good with COVID? You might see a traditional acupuncturist instead. They may be able to help with those systems, but you want somebody from the old country, not somebody who's trying to just open your heart with acupuncture and specializes in women afraid of their food. You want someone who really does know TCM, old style Chinese acupuncture, who can either do that with you or herbs, Chinese herbs, replenish your jing, which somehow, see, the lungs and the kidneys work together. So COVID hits the lungs and the kidneys, which hold the jing, get. Now, this doesn't work in Western medicine. This is Chinese medicine, but they get compromised. You won't see this on a kidney function test. They appear fine there, but they don't have enough inherent energy, so you have to replenish that. A good Chinese herbologist, if there is a Chinese Chinatown near you, a place where or a Chinese mall near you, I would consult with the herbologist there. And if you're capable of brewing the nasty teas, you get those. They taste awful if you're capable of brewing them and drinking them. Otherwise, tell them that you can't and that you will need medicine pills. I am not as familiar with Tibetan medicine for this, or with Ayurvedic medicine for this. But Chinese herbology does have methods of replenishing what may have been exhausted and used up by the COVID. I've still got symptoms from my last COVID right now, although they're pretty minimal and I'm working with it. But yeah, that happens. It's a funky virus. So yeah, Medicine Buddha and new doc, or good conversation with old doc, if they're listening. Herbs. Acupuncture, no. This is deficiency, not blockage as far as I can see. But I'd have to feel your pulse to be sure of what I'm saying. So, and I'm not there to do that. So go find somebody who is capable in your area. They have to see you. They have to look at your tongue. They have to smell you. To get a proper diagnosis, you use all your senses. But go see some old Chinese guy down in wherever the herb shops are. Next question.
If one is able to do Tumo, does that help with depression?
I'm sure it would if one was actually trained and able. But without proper training, that stuff is going to make everything worse. So do not play with Tumo. Dynamite is a wonderful tool. So is gunpowder. You can make firecrackers and make those beautiful displays. You can also blow your fucking head off if you do not know how to do it properly. On Diwali night in India, that's fireworks night. Everybody buys all these fireworks. You see some guy standing there holding a bottle rocket. Bottle rocket, you put it in a bottle, then you light the fuse. You don't fucking hold the damn thing. The next thing you know, the pharmacist that stays out open late with the burn cream and the bandages has another customer. They're all lined up. Firecrackers are fun, but you got to know how to use them. How to do it. What ones you can hold like this and set them off, and what ones you got to set up somewhere. And if you don't know that, oops. Same for Tumo. If you know what you're doing, I would say it could help. If you don't know what you're doing, oops. Next question.
A follow-up to the previous question about lucid dreaming and love encounters. And they comment that in dreams, I appear meditating, and there I realize that I am dreaming, and I experience that openness that is emptiness.
Okay. So you have something stopping you, blocking you. You have a blockage in your waking life, which is going to come in the form of some kind of assumption about reality. Try some Vajrasattva, full ceremony with confession, and focus on reality assumptions. See if you can pull that out. Wash that out. There's something stuck there that you assume about waking life. It's an assumption about reality and what it is and what it is not. It goes without saying. You can't even see it. It's behind. It's on the back of your head. How can you see it? So I would do Vajrasattva with full confession of, look, I know I'm holding something. I would like to not be holding it. I can't find it. It's out of my sight. Vajrasattva, help me find that and wash it out. If I do discover how I am doing that, I will let go and not do it anymore. Vajrasattva, help me do that. That's your preliminary confession to Vajrasattva, as you do full ceremony with the confession, long mantra. Maybe for a week or 10 days. At least once a day. With some intensity, and then try again. See if that helps. Since you are capable of it, you're just holding back somehow in waking life. So there's an assumption in waking life that doesn't exist in dreams that you're tripping over. And this is what I can think of as a practice to undo that. I don't think you can get at it intellectually. Next question.
I've been looking for a teacher / practice for a while. I did a divination and was suggested guru yoga. I found your video on Guru Rinpoche and was wondering what would be safe to practice.
If your division says Guru Yoga, do Guru Rinpoche practices. You can do prostrations and Guru Yoga, and you can learn about refuge and take refuge. I would go that far, taking Guru Rinpoche as your guru of use in this for Guru Yoga. If it is karma that you find a human living teacher, that will happen. But Guru Rinpoche will do for until then. Don't push the river. People make a lot of mistakes when they grab the first teacher they say, and they, oh, you must be my teacher because I'm impressed with your words. And then later you get to know them. And you cannot put up with their personality. It's just too weird. So to avoid making such mistakes, it's better to hang around a teacher for a long time, receiving teachings and guidance from them without making commitment on either of your parts. So for the practice of Guru Yoga, which is necessary, you take Guru Rinpoche for that. And you do it that way. Capiche? Any further questions?
I have a reflex of running from bliss experiences in meditation. After blessings that bring meditation to a new level, I will back away from meditation. Any advice on undoing this habit?
Don't worry about it. Don't poke at it. Think to yourself, I am backing away to integrate this experience with daily life by performing Trultra Naljur, yoga of dancing stillness. So when you find yourself backing away, think that. And don't mind the push-pull. Don't pay it no never mind. It's just a phenomena. Thoughts arising in mind and dissolving in mind. They were never anything other than mind. Waves are only made of water. Next question.
Facebook giving me oddball errors. Here we go. Is there a specific practice for rooting myself in the root chakra or in the earth?
Yes, many. Tibetans are naturally so damn rooted, they don't have a specific for that until much, much later on. Wiccan has a practice for it. Druid has a practice for it. That's Western style Celtic. Wiccan comes out of Druid. In different line, but they're out of the same part of the world. Native American has a practice for it too. But we are teaching Mahamudra here. So I suggest you ask me for those practices in group, if you're in group, or by email with great patience. And by the way, guys, if you want responses to your email, You will always write them by poking reply to a previous email that was part of the same conversation. If it's a conversation we ended 6 months ago, you don't have to do this. You're starting a new conversation. But always have the previous parts of the conversation attached to your email and have your photo in the email somewhere. Don't send it in a separate email. It won't attach. The reason for this is I need to know who I'm talking to by email. I know a lot of you in person, but there are so many Joans, some of them male, some of them female. I don't memorize all your email addresses. And you often sign it with your Tibetan name. And I don't know who the heck I'm talking to unless there's a photo and the previous conversation is included. So a lot of times when that's not the case in future, guys, I'm just not going to answer. If you can't do that much for me to make my life a little easier in answering your emails of at least knowing who the hell I'm talking to, it's chancy whether you're going to get an answer or not if you don't do this. Okay? So input into it. I'm in the process of holding about 20 conversations at once. And you send me back a, yes, okay, I'll do that. Should I do it on Tuesday? What the fuck are we talking about? If what I said to you that you decided, yes, you do, is not attached to that, I'm lost. Okay? Especially if I don't know who you are because there's no photo. So do me a kindness. But yes, for that question, if you need to do that, ask me in group or by email, because that's diverging from Mahamudra. I'd have to go into a different lineage for that. Next question.
Me and my wife are both entering our obstacle year. This is according to Tibetan astrology they're following.
Ah, yes.
What can we do?
Lots of Tara. Parchilamsam. It's a particular prayer that removes hindrances and obstacles. You can go find a copy at Lotsawa House, and somewhere I believe I have given a link for it that may be somewhere on YouTube or my website. And if I haven't, I'm sure somebody else has, so fish around. Parche Lamsum, removing hindrances. I know they have it there. And it's a good translation. Also, praise to the 21 Taras, dusk and dawn, should you be able to do so at either of those times or both. Basic mantra practice and a damn good sense of humor. I think the sense of humor may actually be more important than the mantra practice. This is your year of challenges. And your challenge is to find them amusing. Good luck. Next question.
How do I keep from being confused about thinking I'm relaxed versus being truly relaxed?
If you occasionally start to snore, you're probably really relaxed. Learn to recognize a thought as a thought. Do this by repeatedly noticing the nature of thoughts while thinking them. Next question.
Okay. Let's see what we have. The follow up to the person who was asking about guru yoga practices.
Uh-huh.
Can Lama Zangpa work for guru yoga also? And can I also do prostrations to Yeshi Sogyal, or does that practice require empowerment?
No, I believe you can do prostrations to Yeshi Sogyal or Mandareva just fine. And you don't require a wong for that, although a wong is nice to have. And they're around.
Mm-hmm. They're just trying to make
Lama
sure that...
Songpo?
Yeah.
Is that a living lama or a...
Lama Sangpa.
Sangpa. Well, I know of Lama Zongpo, who's alive, and I don't think that's who you mean. So who are you talking about? I don't recognize the name.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Couple more, and then I'm going to call it a quits for today. It's 1 o'clock.
Okay. Oh, yes. We've been going for 2 hours here. Yeah, Songpa is how they have it written, but I don't recognize that.
Tsongpa?
Yes.
Oh, Tsongkhapa. This is Tsongkhapa according to Google.
Oh.
Well, that's easy. Not Tsongpa, Tsongkhapa to be recognizable. Ji Tsongkhapa. Yes, you can take refuge to Ji Tsongkhapa and use that instead of Guru Rinpoche. It's just the difference between Gelugpa and Nyingma lines. Guru Rinpoche is Nyingma and Ji Tsongkhapa is Gelugpa. I believe the third Karmapa Pakshi is used in the Kargu line, and one of the Shakya treasons is used in the Shakya line, and Miwo Rinpoche is used in the Bon line, if I got that right. And all of them are perfectly valid. They're symbols of Guru Yoga. Next question.
Why are gurus so intolerable? Is it possible to realize emptiness without them?
No. And they are intolerable because you don't really want to realize emptiness. You want to realize what you think emptiness will be. And they're going to rub your nose in the real thing. And you're not going to like it. And you're going to find them intolerable and get really pissed off at them for doing that. I've been even known to once throw a potato at Rinpoche. Didn't hit him. I actually threw it past him. I threw the napkin at him. One's really not supposed to do that, my poor teacher. Oh, my poor teacher. One of the most patient people I've ever met. Less as he grew older, but I think my behavior was beginning to improve by then. Of course, now I have students just like me. Next question.
Kind of generic. Would you tell us about Namkhai Norbu? Was he a real Zogchen teacher?
Oh, yes, very much so. Jangchu Dorji was an amazing teacher. You ask me this in the next Q&A, and I will tell it more fully. But Rinpoche told me a number of Jangchu Dorji stories. And Jangchu Dorji was the teacher of Khenpo Chuchong Wangdo Rinpoche, my teacher, and Norbu Rinpoche of Zogchen. They had other teachers. For instance, Tuxi Rinpoche was the one who taught this Mahamudra to my teacher. And this particular Mahamudra text, Karmapa was the one who gave him the main Mahamudra teaching. With Ziga Rinpoche, when they went to see him. This was the 16th Karmapa. So, yes, he was an amazing Dzogchen teacher, very real. And Tertong. I've seen his descriptions of how you pull something out, a terma out. And yes, he's a real Tertong. And yes, that's exactly how it works. And I am really impressed that he managed to do that. Talking about just one particular one that I've been reading, one of his termas, and what it took to get that terma out of the dream time. Hats off to him. You see, for it to be a real terma and not just some kind of funny download for you personally that you're getting from somewhere or other personally, for it to be a real terma, you need the words and the meaning. Every one of the words exactly. Guru Rinpoche left his termas in Tibetan, which he spoke, not in Urgen, which he also spoke. In fact, I believe he may have known Sanskrit as well. And Urgen was close to Pali, North Afghani language, back up in those mountains there. Pahari, Pahari and Urdu. But he left them in Tibetan. If you're getting your stuff in English, you're not a Tertong. You gotta get it in the Tibetan. Yeah. Damn good teacher. Miss him. He and Rinpoche used to have fun together. Although completely different personalities. Used to call Rinpoche an old cowboy, which was true. He was a bit of an aristocrat. Rinpoche was just an old nomad cowboy. You think of putting together some British high-end, being really close friends with and sharing teachers with some old cowboy out of Texas in his cow-smelling boots and jeans. That was watching the two of them hang out together. It was quite amusing. But yeah, he was real. Very real. Anyway. Ye wandi nyor dudam che che sala go pashu. May all beings be free. Thank you for joining me. I think we're back to regular groups this week. And next weekend is a retreat on working with emotions, maybe?
Yes.
And then we're going to continue scheduling stuff for a while. So I'll be online.
Yes. We might mention translators and the giveaway.
Yes. Translators.
Yes. Spanish, French, and Hebrew today.
We had Spanish, French, and Hebrew today. Well, if you were listening to this in a language other than English, or even if you were listening to it in English, and you like the diversity of this Sangha, please make offerings to your translators. Give them a gift. It makes them happy. If they're happy, they keep translating. So you do want your translators to remain happy, don't you? Gifts make people happy. And speaking of gifts, December 15th from
Yes.
2 to 6 p.m., I will be having a potlatch, not a potluck, a potlatch. Big giveaway where I get to give away all sorts of stuff. So you come on over and you can't leave empty handed. You can come empty handed, you just can't leave that way. Anyway, thank you for joining me. I'll see you next time. We are complete.
Okay. Yes, Karen.